Welcome back to the Data Guy Show. I'm Naz, and I'm here with Mo, who's probably the only person I know who gets excited about AI ethics at 7 a.m. Today, we're tackling something that's been keeping me up at night: responsible RAG systems. Mo, I've been seeing these retrieval-augmented generation systems everywhere, but nobody's talking about what happens when they go wrong.
That's exactly the problem, Naz. Everyone's rushing to deploy RAG because it's incredibly powerful. You get an AI that can pull from vast knowledge bases and give you up-to-date contextual answers. But here's the thing. When you're mediating knowledge, you're not just generating text anymore. You're shaping what people believe to be true.
Okay, that sounds terrifying. Are we talking about AI systems that could spread misinformation or just bad customer service?
Think bigger. Imagine hiring a system that pulls biased information about certain demographics, or a medical chatbot that can't cite where God is health advice. When RAG systems fail ethically, the consequences ripple out to real people making real decisions.
All right, so break this down for me. What are the biggest ethical landmines we need to worry about?
There are four main areas where RAG systems can go ethically sideways. First up is citation and attribution, and this one drives me crazy because it's so basic yet so often ignored.
What do you mean? Isn't it just like putting a footnote?
It should be that simple, but here's what happens in practice. A user asks your RAG system about climate change. It pulls from three different sources, mixes that information together, and spits out an answer. But which part came from which source? And how confident is the system about each piece of information?
Oh no, I think I see where this is going. It's like that time our intern created a report that mixed Wikipedia with actual research papers, but didn't tell anyone which was which. The whole executive team was citing Wikipedia statistics in board meetings.
Exactly. And that's a perfect example of why proper attribution isn't just academic. It's about trust and accountability. Users need to know where information comes from so they can assess credibility. The point is that without clear citation, you're asking people to trust a black box with potentially life-changing information.
So that's problem number one. What's the second ethical minefield?
Bias and fairness. And this one's particularly insidious because RAG systems can amplify biases in ways that aren't immediately obvious. The reason this matters so much is that these systems don't just reflect the data they're trained on. They actively choose which information to retrieve and how to present it.
Can you give me a concrete example? Because I'm trying to wrap my head around how a retrieval system could be biased.
Sure. Let's say you have a RAG system helping with hiring decisions. Someone asks, what makes a good software engineer? The system might consistently retrieve and prioritize articles that describe traits more commonly associated with certain demographics, maybe emphasizing competitive coding or certain educational backgrounds, while downplaying collaborative skills or non-traditional paths into tech.
That's sneaky. It's not like the AI is explicitly saying hire this type of person, but it's subtly steering the conversation towards certain characteristics.
Exactly. And the scariest part is that it feels objective because it's pulling from real sources. But those sources themselves reflect historical biases, and the retrieval algorithm might be systematically favoring certain perspectives. The key point here is that fairness in RAG requires both diverse knowledge bases and conscious efforts to audit what's being retrieved and how it's being presented.
This is making me paranoid about every AI system I've ever used. What's the third area we need to worry about?
Transparency and explainability, which is really about answering the question, how did you come up with that answer? The reason this matters is that in high-stakes situations, people need to understand and verify the AI's reasoning process.
But isn't that what the citation thing was about?
Citation tells you where the information came from, but transparency tells you how the system decided what to retrieve and how to combine it. Think of it like this. Imagine asking a research assistant to investigate a topic. Citation is like them showing you their sources, but transparency is them explaining why they chose those specific sources and how they synthesize the information.
Ah, I get it. Like when I asked our old analytics tool why website traffic dropped and it just said seasonality without explaining which seasonal patterns it was looking at, or why it ignored the fact that our main competitor launched a huge campaign that week.
Perfect example. The point is that without transparency, users can't assess whether the system's reasoning makes sense for their specific context. And this becomes critical when people are making important decisions based on these outputs.
Okay, and the fourth area?
Privacy and data protection. RAG systems often need to access vast amounts of data to be effective, but that raises serious questions about what data they are accessing, how they are storing it, and what happens to sensitive information that gets retrieved.
Wait, so these systems might accidentally expose private data?
It's definitely a risk. The reason this matters is that RAG systems are designed to find and surface relevant information, but they might not distinguish between public information and sensitive data that shouldn't be shared. For example, if a RAG system has access to internal company documents and someone asks about a project, it might inadvertently include confidential details in its response.
That's terrifying. How do you even protect against that?
It requires careful data governance, things like minimizing what data the system can access, anonymizing sensitive information, and implementing strong access controls. The key example here is thinking about data like a need to know basis. The RAG system should only be able to retrieve the minimum information necessary to answer each specific question.
So we've got citation problems, bias issues, transparency gaps, and privacy risks. How do we actually measure whether our RAG system is behaving ethically?
That's where evaluation frameworks like Ragas come in. The reason Ragas is so valuable for responsible RAG is that it gives you concrete metrics to measure not just accuracy but ethical behavior. You can track things like faithfulness, whether the system is making stuff up, and harmfulness, whether it's generating inappropriate content.
But can metrics really capture something as complex as ethics?
Not completely, but they are a crucial starting point. The point is that you can't manage what you don't measure. Ragas gives you metrics like faithfulness to catch hallucinations, answer relevancy to ensure the system stays on topic, and you can even build custom metrics to detect bias or measure fairness across different demographic groups.
So it's like having a health checkup for your AI system.
Exactly. And just like health checkups, you need to do them regularly. The example I always give is setting up continuous monitoring, integrating these ethical evaluations into your deployment pipelines so you catch problems before they reach users. And you need human oversight too, because automated metrics can miss nuanced ethical issues.
This all sounds incredibly important, but also overwhelming. Where do you even start?
Start with transparency and build from there. The reason I recommend this approach is that transparency is found. Once you can see and explain what your system is doing, you can identify and fix other ethical issues. Begin by making source attribution visible to users, then add evaluation metrics, and gradually build up your ethical safeguards.
Wow, okay, so responsible RAG isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely essential. We've covered the 4 main ethical challenges: proper citation and attribution, bias and fairness, transparency and explainability, and privacy protection. And Mo showed us how frameworks like Ragas can help us actually measure and monitor these ethical considerations.
The key takeaway is that responsible RAG is an ongoing commitment. not a one time checklist. You need to design for transparency from the start, continuously evaluate your system's behavior, and close the loop with user feedback and human oversight. And for developers who want to see the specific Ragas metrics and code examples for implementing ethical evaluation pipelines, I've included detailed examples in the blog post.
This has been eye-opening. To dive deeper into the technical implementation and see those code examples Mo mentioned, check out the full blog post at thedataguy.pro. Don't forget to subscribe to The Data Guy Show. We drop fresh episodes every Wednesday with new data insights and AI deep dives. Let us know what AI ethics topic you want us to tackle next.
Looking forward to it. And before we wrap up, let me leave you with this thought. Always remember that every AI system we build affects real people. Seek wisdom in your design choices, prioritize fairness and transparency, and never lose sight of the human lives your algorithms touch. Our work should be a force for good in this world.
Thanks for tuning in to The Data Guy Show. Until next time, keep your AI systems honest and your data ethical.